Mitch. We were going to stream yesterday, but unfortunately I was working, and oh well, life, it throws curveballs at you. I did, yes. I provide service. We do. Speaking of living in a society, I actually saw Joker today for the first time, so that was good. Yeah, well, I was skint when it came out, so. But nonetheless, I've now finally seen it, and I enjoyed it. It was good. I think I would have probably liked it more when it was out, because I've had it spoiled, but I still enjoyed it thoroughly. Joaquin Phoenix does deserve his. See, the thing is, right? You Americans don't. Oh, before I begin with that, how you doing, Alkazai? It's my co-host. I didn't introduce you guys. Yeah, but it's a tradition. I have to introduce you guys. It's because there's new people. It's been 10 weeks, 11 weeks. Remember, we do it once a week, so it's been 11 weeks. How you doing, Alkazai? How you doing? What? So you doing all right? Because you did cut out a bit then. Lol. So how you doing, Chicago? Good. Not too bad. So anyway, the dancing scene where he's kicking, the famous one. Well, that song is by a guy called Gary Glitter, right? He's a well-known paedophile. Brilliant musician for his day, and that's a really good song. But he is still alive. Yeah, he's currently in jail, serving time for historic child abuse and God knows what else. He's a paedophile, and whenever a British person watches that, we always have that in the back of our minds. Good song, but it was made by a nonce. Because I was watching it. Sorry, Americans don't know that. Because I was telling this to my dad, when we were watching it, if we made this, if it was a British film, we wouldn't have used that song because of the connotations, unfortunately. And I know you should separate art from the artist and all that, but it wouldn't have been used just because of what he did and who he was affiliated with. Jimmy Savile. Yeah, they knew each other. Yeah, and they were involved with each other. But anyway, good song, good scene. It does work. So I watched that, and I finally got to see the ending speech. Where we live in a society speech. I mean, what's he saying that's wrong there? I mean, he's not wrong. And people are getting more and more rude. If you think about it, people really do seem to not care about each other as much. Or at the very least, there's no civility, or at least very little civility left. And I think that's right. But I couldn't help but feel right, because the director was coming out saying I can't make comedy films anymore because it's so woke, right? Maybe that was, yeah, like the. Some of them, the original Hangover was good. Really, even the first one, which was really good. I thought it was funny, but yeah. I mean, if I would like it, I don't know if I would like it now. In fact, the film before he did Joker was called War Dogs, was it? That was like a dark comedy, so he was already moving in this direction anyway. I wanted to see it, but I never got a chance to. But there's this bit where he goes, "Who does you guys get to decide what is funny and what is not?" He's talking to. He says, "You, the system." He means the movie, the establishment. That is, well, not really the audience. I mean, he's looking at the audience, but it's not the audience he's actually talking to, is it? Joaquin. By the way, apparently it's Joaquin. You actually pronounce it Joaquin in Sweden, because apparently it's a Swedish name. Joaquin. No, don't think so. No, he's not. No, yeah. In the Spanish way, yeah, yeah. It doesn't matter. It's the same name. But I also, now that I know what Joaquin's like, when his recent, his award speeches, I'm like, how did he ever agree to do this? Knowing what Todd. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was talking about how him winning an award is somehow saying people who aren't white aren't welcome, which I don't get. Like, the whole point of those awards is awarding the best, right? Or at the very least, the most popular. And if anything, Joaquin is like the person who probably, in most scenarios, would be overlooked just because of how controversial the film was within those particular circles. Like, he's actually lucky to be winning these awards. I'm surprised he is. I don't know if it's pressure, like they simply can't overlook him because he was so amazing. Like, he genuinely does deserve it. I can't think of anyone else who was better than him. Who? Maybe De Niro and The Irishman. Then again, he's got two other actors in competition there. But anyway, today's not. He is, yeah. He plays Murray or Murray. Murray. Listen now. Do you want to hear a joke, Murray? Actually, we've had enough of your jokes. Then the vibe check hits. I was thinking of the vibe check meme the entire time. Indeed. But like good film. Definitely a good film. I don't think it'll get best film, and I don't think Todd Phillips will get best director though. But Joaquin getting best actor is probably the most it's ever going to get. Soundtrack, apart from the pop songs, was pretty good though. Not that one. That's apart from the pop songs. Like, the instrumental stuff was pretty good, even though it's kind of just sometimes it's the type of music that's just there, but it served its purpose. I mean, it's not John Williams or anything, but I enjoyed it. So we actually got topics, guys. That was actually completely left field. I just thought I would talk about it. So we're going to talk about a lot of things. Like, you guys want to talk about Iowa and the primaries, and I can chip in with that, and impeachment, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and Philip Schofield is the British story of choice. I think we'll start with that, just because it's actually the least controversial, although there's some rumblings going on. So, guys, I need to now explain to Americans who this guy actually is. Can't hear your guest, Boomer? What is this? We don't have a guest, Teabag. Oh, don't tell me they can't hear you again. Fuck's sake. Hang on. No. It's the speed. It's the fucking OBS. Hang on a sec. There we are. And let me go. This should not happen.
To be fair, I wasn't really talking that much, so I don't know.
No. They can't hear you at all. Let me listen. What is this?
We don't have a guest. Vibe checked by technology today, Al.
Oh, don't tell me they can't hear you again. For fuck's sake. Hang on. No. It's keep saying something, guys. It's fucking OBS.
No.
There we are.
Did you know
this should not happen.
I wasn't really talking. African Americans make up 100%.
No, they can't hear you at all. Yep, they can hear it. It was the OBS error again, guys. For some reason, when I plug in my speakers or whatever, it changes the settings, which means that you can't hear these guys. Can't seem to stop that from doing that. But luckily, I know how to fix these things because I'm good with technology. I know it doesn't look that way, but I actually am. So anyway, we now got everything sorted out, and I think it's only fair that you guys actually start first. So do you want to talk about the primaries and Iowa and things?
Yeah.
God, so we had an amazing conversation then, guys, as well. Fuck's sake.
Yeah. So basically, right, the Democratic Party is incompetent, which it should surprise practically nobody. So the Iowa hosts this thing called a caucus, which is different than a secret ballot election, in which basically you meet up at your little middle school gym, and then you stand in like one section of the room of the candidate you're supporting. So all the Joe Biden people will huddle in one corner, and the Bernie bros will do the same thing. And same thing for every other candidate. But if your candidate doesn't reach 15% of the total people in the room, your candidate is considered not viable, and you either have to remain uncommitted to a candidate, or go to a viable candidate, which is what often most happens. So, and then after hours of like arguing, they finally count all the viable candidates, and they distribute delegates based on how many people you have in the room, which is basically how it works. And then those state delegates vote for like, I don't know how it works from there actually, because it's basically if you anybody who isn't an Iowan does not understand what the fuck is going on here, but that's the gist of it. And they fucked up counting it because they were using this new app to count the delegates, and they found inconsistencies in the data, which basically meant they saw that Bernie was winning and they were really scared that he was winning, so they either wanted to like halt his momentum, because that's historically what the point of the Iowa caucus is. It's not for the delegates. Iowa delegates only make up 1% of the total delegates for the Democratic primary. It's basically just to like prove that you're a viable candidate and use the momentum from there. So they were probably trying to like stop Bernie from gaining momentum, or there were actually inconsistencies in the data because people are stupid, which is also entirely possible, because the people running the caucuses at an individual level, most of them are boomers and don't know how to use technology, so they fucked up putting numbers in and shit. And so and we didn't get any results till 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time the next day, and we didn't get full results until like Wednesday, which was really annoying. And Bernie Sanders ended up winning the popular vote, but Pete Buttigieg ended up winning most of the delegates, so everybody thinks Pete Buttigieg rigged it, which I don't think is the case. Although the company that owns the app that they were using, which is called Shadow, I know, fucking if the Democratic Party wasn't a James Bond villain-esque organization already, there you go. And the CEO of Shadow, his wife is a Pete Buttigieg staffer.
Is she
works
now?
for the campaign.
That's totally not like a conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest, yes. But I don't think they rigged it anyway, so I don't really think. I mean, basically, Bernie came first in the popular vote, which most people were expecting. But what nobody was expecting was that Pete Buttigieg won most delegates, which was a real surprise, which is historically what Iowa does. Iowa always throws in a surprise candidate, right? So you have like Senator McGovern, Jimmy Carter, and even to a certain extent Barack Obama were all like weren't supposed to win the Iowa caucus, but they did. And everybody thought it was going to be Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden ended up getting no delegates from it, which was fucking hilarious. I think Warren got like 5, and then that was about it. But Joe Biden greatly underperformed, and if he underperforms in New Hampshire, he might have to drop out, or at least hold out to the South, because most of his base of support is from the South, because boomers like him, and also black people like him.
Why did he like him?
Shit ton of black people in the South.
Why did he like him?
Black people?
Yeah.
He was Obama's VP.
Is that it?
It was.
Oh, the only reason?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. It's just, I would have thought there must be something there apart from that, like any policies. But then again, I thought like, well, he's a neoliberal in terms of economics and stuff like that. So I doubt they'd be really into that. So it's just his reputation of being the VP of Obama. God.
Yeah.
See, that wouldn't really fly in this country.
Joe Biden really says some sort of racist stuff sometimes.
Yeah, that wouldn't, in my country, that wouldn't be a thing. I mean, like being, I don't know, for example, who would be the equivalent of the vice president in this? It wouldn't be the Home Secretary.
Deputy Prime Minister?
No, that's different. That's only a thing in the coalition government. It would be, I guess, either the Home Secretary or the what's the other one? The Chancellor. The Chancellor's technically the second in command. So it would be like, just because Gordon Brown was the Chancellor doesn't mean that, or somebody else was the Chancellor to him, doesn't mean that people like him and that we should vote for him and that gives him any advantage over any other politician who's leading a party. Because if that were the case, you know, Ed Miliband and David even, their pedigrees that their dad was a famous left-wing writer.
Yeah.
Francois Miliband, I think his name was. So, like, that didn't help them.
Well, being the vice president, you don't have a lot of formal power, but you still command a lot of informal power and influence in the cabinet. So, like, there's a certain degree of like prestige that comes along with the job.
And it used to be with the chancellor.
Because like, especially if the president was popular, like them picking their VP can be something very important. That's why George Bush became president, because he was Reagan's VP, and Reagan was an extremely popular president, and even to this day, to a certain extent.
Yeah, that just wouldn't happen here. But I was surprised that Bernie did so well in Iowa, to be honest.
Oh, I wasn't. I'm genuinely not surprised.
From what I heard,
to a very close second in Hillary.
See, the way I heard was the way they were, with the coin tossing, and every single time, well, most of the time anyway, it was going to Buttigieg. I kept thinking, like, well, it's going to be a landslide for Buttigieg, or at the very least, a strong performance, because they will make it
all
that
aboard
way.
the Booty Express.
But somehow he managed to. Bernie won. It was only by a percentage point, if that, right?
Yeah, but just Bernie won the popular vote, but Buttigieg got most of the delegates.
Oh, and that's what's more important, right? The delegates.
Yeah.
I see, because America is a constitutional republic.
Yeah, I wish they would just get rid of the delegate system, because it's needlessly complicated.
Just have a straight up debate, and then you cast your vote, right? I mean, it's only
even if like you're in favor of the electoral college, just do the popular vote for this, for the love of God.
Yeah, it's only electing your leader for the party, essentially.
Yeah,
and it's only a party-wide thing. Yeah, you don't need delegates. We don't have delegates here. Like, at least for the Labour Party and maybe the Tory Party too. It's the members, and it's easy to join a party. You pay your subscription fee.
I mean, to me,
you know?
Well, depending on the state you live in, you have to be in a party.
Mm-hmm.
So Missouri, where I live, is an open primary. So basically, I just tell them which party I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote in their
Can you
elections.
register independent? Like, I don't want to be a part of any party on my own, or do you have to join a party?
Yeah, you don't have to join a party to vote in the primaries on certain states, but 15 states have open primaries, which basically is like you have to just choose like a party you want to vote for, and you don't have to be registered within that party. And even if you're a registered Republican, you can vote in like the Democratic primary.
That's just so weird, because
not in Illinois. If you're a registered Republican in Illinois, you cannot vote in the Democratic primaries.
Yeah, but Missouri is great, so I don't have to register as a Democrat.
That's just weird, though, because if you think about it, that could be used by the Republicans in that state to elect who they want as their potential.
That's happened, but that's
exactly.
Honestly, I think they should all be open, so like people can
troll.
People from either party can just vote for who they want in both parties, because that way you'll get like two presidential candidates that people generally like.
That would be an interesting idea. Also, Jim Jesus says voting is now Tinder. It's booty gag.
Booty gag. Hold on, let me see the formal definition of an open primary. An open primary is a primary election that does not require voters to be affiliated with a political party in order to vote in candidates. In traditional open primary, voters select one party's ballot and vote for that party's nomination. Yep. All right, I was right. I just want to make sure I was right.
So, do you reckon that New Hampshire's going to be where Hillary and all the rest of the top brass are going to pull out all the stops to make sure that Bernie does not win? I don't even understand why. I mean,
no, Buttigieg is rising in the polls. He could.
Is this a more natural rise as opposed to them trying to maybe skewer it?
Because Pete Buttigieg proved himself in Iowa. A lot more people are going to see him as an alternative for Biden. So he's just going to be rising in the polls naturally.
So they don't even need to rig it.
And also, fun fact, Tulsi Gabbard is polling 6% in New Hampshire. So
that's good. I'm surprised she's still in there. I mean,
make a showing.
I would have thought she would have
Andrew Yang will, but I don't think he will.
No, he's been polling pretty low throughout. Like I don't think he has anywhere near the popularity in the actual party. Like, I think actual Democrats kind of like.
He has the highest favorability rating, but just nobody wants to vote for him because he's not aggressive in the debates, which really pisses me off as an Andrew Yang supporter. But whatever.
I don't know if it's necessarily that, or they just don't. Maybe the rest of it they don't like. I don't know. Maybe think, oh, nice guy, but I don't see him as a leader. I don't know. Maybe it's that.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's just really annoying because he has the most detailed policy out of any candidate. Even Elizabeth Warren, who's like known for her detailed policy.
So here's one thing I want to know. So I understand why they initially rigged it in Hillary's favour initially, because they wanted Hillary to be the candidate because they wanted her to be the first female president. Also because it's Hillary and that's how she works. She's corrupt. She's crooked Hillary, right? I get that. But why now? Why now when you've got a large selection of people to choose from? Bernie actually wasn't doing very well. I mean, he's been rising, yeah, but considering there's more question marks on him now than there were 4 years ago, really, realistically, you don't need to rig it. You don't need to, have this apparently accidental flaw in the voting system with this new app that you've got. Why? What's the point? Buttigieg is naturally rising up anyway. He's been above Sanders for most of it, so
yeah. And to be fair, people thinking I don't think Pete Buttigieg is rigging this campaign because he's a very underdog candidate. Pete Buttigieg's experience is that he was mayor of South Bend, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
South Bend, Indiana only has 49,000 people in there.
What, in the whole state? Or is that the town?
The town he lives in.
Oh, right.
Which is South Bend. He's the mayor of that town, or was the mayor of that town. Now he's putting all his eggs in being the president. Which, honestly, if he's the nominee, I'll probably vote for him, because I don't like Trump that much anymore. Fucking tired of his antics. Also, Pete Buttigieg is in favor of free trade, which I'm very much a free trader.
I don't even think that Trump is necessarily against free trade. I think
he is.
No, I don't. I don't know if he really is. I know why he's doing the trade war.
He is, though.
I know what I think he wants it on favourable terms. I don't think he wants.
Yeah, that's not free trade.
Well, I think
that's protectionism.
Well, I don't think he wants China using it to meddle in American affairs. I think that's really why he's going to war with them.
China's literally giving us free shit. What's the problem with that?
Oh no, I get that. I'm just trying to,
Well, he's also gone against NAFTA, and the thing is, NAFTA is already pretty protectionist on not just for the U.S. but for Canada in certain circumstances too. And the U.S. has the highest tariffs in NAFTA, so it's the U.S. is already pretty protectionist, and Trump wants to make it even more so, which is stupid.
Well, he's trying to bring back the industry to the Rust Belt and places like that. I think that's also
most industry has been lost to automation, not outsourcing.
I don't know. It's in the 80s and 90s. It was definitely outsourcing, I would say.
No,
it was just the fact that the U.S. then suddenly modernized all of its industries, and that's caused a lot of job loss.
Yeah, the automation. So you have, there's a myth that American manufacturing that has gone down. No, it's gone up. Employment in the manufacturing industry has gone down, but overall production and efficiency has gone up. The American worker is way more productive than it was 30, 40 years ago. Even with the automation, American workers are way more productive. So there's not even that much of an incentive to outsource because, yeah, Mexican or Chinese labor is cheaper, but Americans are way better at making shit. So it's mostly just automation.
Interesting.
Stephen Michael Davis talks about this. Which is why you should watch him.
Well,
nice endorsement.
I will use my own judgment and look at the statistics myself. But so what do you think is going to happen? Is New Hampshire the last one, or is this no,
there's several more.
Oh my god!
Super Tuesday is on March 10th. My state, along with a few others, was on March 3rd. I think there's one more set of states after Super Tuesday. I think, but I'm not sure.
So how many more states? There's so. Oh my god, it's never ending. This is the problem with this bloody leadership debate. There's these primaries. They just don't end. And I mean,
no.
I know we've got what 9 months, right? But seriously, come on, hurry up already.
I know the primary system needs to be reformed. I'm surprised they don't have ranked choice voting for the primaries at least.
Yeah,
it seems like the best system.
I don't think Bernie's going to win, though. I don't think people trust him enough to even survive his first 2 years, let alone the primaries.
I mean, if Bernie wins and I like his VP pick, I might vote for him, and I'll just be banking on the fact that he'll die. Honestly, if he chooses Tulsi Gabbard as his VP, all right, and so, I'll just be hoping and praying he dies.
So here's a question though. Say he dies on the campaign trail during the election. Who does he have to be replaced, or did they have to stop the election,
I'm not
Do you
sure.
know the primary, or does the VP take over?
My guess they would probably have another brokered convention. Will the party insiders would just choose one, or they'll just have his. What they'll probably do. By the way, I'm pulling this out of my ass. There could be official way to do this, but my guess is they would probably just have his VP pick run, and then the VP just has to choose his own running mate. Or his
Sorry, what was the question?
Say if somebody dies on the campaign trail during the election, right? So before anybody's elected, how would that person be replaced? Yeah, basically.
There is no official way of doing it because it's never happened before. Although, yes, I think it would just go to the vice president, and then there wouldn't be a vice presidential candidate.
No, there would be. They would still probably choose one.
I'm surprised they've not even considered this.
The vice president is nowhere near as important as people make it out to be. Like, we've had times in U.S. history where we didn't even have vice presidents. Like, between 1945 and 1948, we didn't have one.
I remember, in certain time periods, the foreign secretary in this country and the prime minister was one in the same. In many cabinets, the prime minister dealt with foreign policy. Like, was it Palmerston? Or Salisbury, sorry. Salisbury did that until age forced him to, get a new foreign secretary, which I think would later be passed down to Grey, World War One Grey.
Originally,
the prime
I feel like
minister
they would
wasn't,
still probably choose a VP though, just to have a VP.
Originally, the First Lord of the Admiralty or First Sea Lord, I forget which one it was more important than Prime Minister. That was the person who really ran the country.
No, I think it was First Sealer, because First Lord of the Admiralty was just a political post as a reward.
Yeah.
Because if you were connected to the right people, you were just given First Lord of the Admiralty as like a reward for loyalty.
And then you became a prime minister used to be just like a phrase, like a mock, like almost like an insult. Like, oh, you're just a prime minister, eh? But then it stuck and it became a natural post. So anyway,
when did it become an actual post?
Oh, it always was. It's just we didn't have a proper name for it, and then that just became the name.
Like when did it become like officially official?
Probably like early 19th century, I'd say. Maybe actually later than that. Not
because I know like everybody agrees Robert Walpole was the first prime minister.
Yeah. So like mid 19th century, that I think. No, it's 18th. Robert Walpole, wasn't it?
No, Robert Walpole was mid 18th century.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 1720s. Yeah, I forgot. He was the one that introduced this crazy law to try and combat these weird like crime waves that were going on. It was mentioned in the book that I read called "Why Nations Fail." Like these guys would dress up in black or something, and they'd put to hide their identity. They'd black up, so they'd put black makeup on, and then they would commit, I think, just like vandalism. I think it was. I forgot what they were called. And he created this stupid law to combat them, and it didn't work. I think that was Walpole. So anyway, I think we can move on from that. So let's have a look. What else have we got? Let's talk about Johnny Depp. So do you guys know about Johnny Depp?
Yeah,
So,
basically everybody just caught his girlfriend being an abusive piece of shit.
Well, so this is what's happened. So in 2016, maybe 2015, they broke up, and she came out saying that she was abused by Johnny Depp. And in that week, she came out with pictures of her being bruised and cut and stuff like that. And he lost his job at Disney playing Captain Jack Sparrow as a result of that, and his reputation was destroyed. Then she became this spokesperson for the women who suffer from the domestic violence. Then she wrote this op-ed in some kind of thing in the Washington Post, I do believe.
Yeah,
where
she wrote an op-ed.
Yeah, basically, if I remember correctly, she may have accused him of rape, something like that. Something in there. I mean, the rest of it was, as we now know, was all of it was defamatory, pretty much. Mm-hmm. But I think that in particular he really disliked, and so he sued her for defamation. I mean, they'd already been divorced, and since then we've found out more and more new information. And at first it was I think it was 1 or 2 years ago we found out that he actually, well, the first inkling of that was what leaked online was injuries that he'd sustained from her. So what happened was she got into an altercation with him. She threw a mineral glass at him, which I think she made. Yeah, she was aiming for his head, but he managed to deflect it with his hand or something, and it cut part of his finger off. And I've seen the picture; it's horrible.
Oh fuck!
You seen it?
I want to see Johnny Depp's finger cut off, bro.
Don't. It's horrible.
Bruh.
I mean,
Dude,
they surgically...
my friend just sent me a video of a guy killing himself earlier. I think I can handle it.
But like he got it surgically attached again, but it's never going to be the same. And then I think she did more to him than that. And then she was I think there was issues.
I think she hit him a couple of times because he had bruising on his face.
Yeah, that was in LA and also maybe in Australia. She threw pots and pans.
Is she from Australia?
No, she's American. Her dad's from Texas. There was pots and pans thrown at him.
Were they just like at vacation and she was abusing him there?
They had an altercation on a plane. I know that, and he had to push her away from him. But there's much. You can't do much on a plane, can you?
Yeah.
He even says that in some because audio started being leaked, and we also have videos of her lying under oath, where she was saying, I never hit him. He always hit me. But then they played his lawyer. I think she was female. One of his aides in his legal team played this clip because they always used to record each other for therapy and other reasons. I don't know why she agreed to that, but it shows her hubris in many ways.
The audio's pretty chilling, honestly.
Yeah, we'll get to that bit, but this one showed that actually, you're lying here. You claim one thing, but then this here, you're admitting that you did this thing to him, and then she tries to kind of wave it away or say, oh no, it was like this. So like in one of the things that came out last week, it was like a really long conversation between the two of them just before the divorce, and she's saying how basically she's not punching him, she's hitting him. Just unbelievable evil stuff, that manipulating him and gaslighting him, and basically saying, because you're not man enough, because you don't fight me, because you're running away, which any sane person would do when somebody's being violent. You either fight or you, well, for men anyway. Apparently with women it's different. It's not fight or flight with women. That's a male thing apparently. Most men, we either fight or flight, right? He chose to flee, understandably, because if he lays a finger on her, she can use that against him, which she has done. That is like a well-known fact amongst male victims of domestic violence. They will be believed if you punch them in self-defense or whatever, even pushing them, And then this week, another item dropped where she basically says, no one will be... This is paraphrased, but essentially she says, are you really going to go up there and say, I, Johnny Depp, a man, I'm a victim of domestic violence, no one will believe you? And, I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not entirely wrong, which is a little fucked up.
He's lucky in the sense that he's Johnny Depp, and a lot of people have realised, he actually didn't do anything wrong. I think his reputation is still largely ruined amongst a lot of people, though, because they're not going to be like us, who actually will follow silly stories. Not that this is a silly story. What I mean is we won't follow stories as closely as we do this, because this is kind of linked to a lot of culture war stuff in many ways.
Yeah. And
it's highlighting a lot of issues that are ignored willingly by a lot of people. They do. They do actually try to downplay these things or suppress it entirely.
No, they do. They do, because they're fucking retarded.
Like Liana Kay was doing that on Twitter recently. She was trying to.
Liana Kay?
She's a feminist who made her fame in Gamergate as the pro Gamergate feminist, but she wasn't really. Not really. It was in many ways like
you said feminist. That's all I needed to hear.
I mean, there actually were real feminists who were pro Gamergate, like the Fine Young Capitalists. Yeah. Of course there were. Vivian James was their creation. Well, kind of. They paid somebody through this charity thing they always do to draw her, but essentially, yeah. They were attacked by Zoe Quinn for reasons. You know what she's like. But anyway, we're getting along with ourselves, and I think. So, what do you guys think? Like, I personally hope that he wins his defamation case, and I don't.
He will win.
Well, this is the thing though, judges, when it comes to, a lot of female, criminals and people who are being tried.
He can always appeal.
True, but like in this country, I've seen so many, women who have done crimes. They've been witness to it. They've admitted to it. Walk away. Like.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, hopefully Johnny Depp being somewhat of a famous person will.
Yeah, that plays heavily in his favor, but I don't think
Sure.
society in general will look at this and learn.
I'm just putting. Maybe I'm putting too much faith into the judge, but I don't know.
Well, it depends who the judge is. If it's not an activist judge, if it's not a judge who's got this weird, it is like I remember Sargon was saying, it's like a patriarchal attitude towards. It is in many ways. It's the idea that they're angels. I remember this was a 19th century idea. It's not the domesticated angel. It's like they saw women as these angelic figures, almost, whose job it was to do certain things. I can't remember what it was. But Chicago, what do you think? Do you have anything to say?
I really don't, honestly.
Well, I personally think you've probably seen my video on it. I've got another one coming out.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Well, basically, I just say, guys, most people are not going to learn from this, because the next time another story like this happens, people are going to jump the gun again. Because it seems to me that people are almost biologically hardwired to empathise more with women than men, and I think that's been proven.
If there's ever a town hall of presidential candidates in St. Louis, I'll try to ask them with some questions about male domestic abuse, see what they'll do about it.
They most likely won't do anything. I mean, you can literally count on one thing.
No, I'm just saying I'm just curious what
you should. Say. Yeah, you should. I think more people should be speaking up about that and asking what will you do, because the problem is in a lot of Western countries in general, you can count how many you've got specifically for men and boys
most
on one
Western
hand.
countries still operate under the Duluth model.
Yeah, and this is kind of smashing the Duluth model, which is why people like Leanna Kay are, reeling and trying to make this out. It's just an outlier, when this is 50% of all cases. This is just one of the 50%.
Yeah. I think I'll just ask them, like, do you think men can be abused and raped by their significant others? And if they say yes, I ask them, will you get rid of the Duluth model?
That's going to take a long time, and it's been ingrained in many people.
Or maybe I'll phrase it like, do you think we should get rid of the Duluth model? I don't know.
As if they even know what it is.
Yeah, I don't feel like a lot of them won't know what it is.
Yeah, again, because it's so ingrained, most people will not even know its name. They just know this is how we do things.
If you explain the concept, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I know. I think it's just one of those things.
It needs changing. It needs to be... And I know a lot of people will not like the word I use, but it needs to be more an egalitarian approach, just because it's killing people. It is.
Yeah, I mean, well, also, to keep in mind, it completely leaves out gay and lesbian men and women.
Well, this is the thing about it. It leaves out the men, but the lesbians still can go to the shelter and stuff. It just doesn't...
Yeah, but the Duluth model fails them, because, like, you call it to abuse situation.
True.
I think you could arrest.
The problem with that is, even though they go there and they have all the facilities they need, it's like... It's more like it ignores their issue. It pretends it's not a thing. They're actually the highest amount. I think it's by women as well. A lot of bi women and a hell of a lot of lesbian women have been involved in domestic violence. A lot of it reciprocal. Apparently, when it comes to heterosexual domestic violence, like 2/3 reciprocal, and then it's like 2/3 women hitting first or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then the rest is the men. I don't know how it works, but that's what I've heard. It's just Amber Heard has just come across as a complete psychopath.
The worst part about the Duluth model, it just assumes men are always the aggressor, and I fucking hate that. It assumes men are just inherently perpetrators of violence.
I mean, and in many ways it is based on some science, but it's like, yes, men are more aggressive. We do a lot of violence.
Yeah,
but
sure. Men abuse women more often than women abuse men, but that doesn't.
Well, it's
Beat me,
50%.
Mrs. Love me, pub. Simple as.
Mrs. Love me, pub.
Well, no, it's 50%.
Simple as.
It's 50% though, statistically.
I thought it was 60-40.
No, it's 50. It's 50-50. Yeah. Well, you got to remember, most men...
Even if it was true, I guess.
You got to remember that most men, because of the shame and the mockery that they would get, or most likely will get,
Yeah.
they don't say. So it probably is closer to 50, yeah. I would
Well,
say.
I mean,
yeah.
even if it is true, that's even if it was like 60-40, that's you
And-
still should not assume.
And
You know,
what
that
I
makes it
remember
perpetrated.
when I was reading up on this topic, Erin Pizzey, if you've heard of her, she used to be a feminist. She set up the first.
Oh, did she was? Oh, fuck! that name sounds familiar. Is she the one the,
British-
UK that's sort of the first domestic abuse shelter?
She did, and then she also
She's
was.
based.
She studied the people who were there as well. I mean, how could you not? You know, when you set this up, and she realised a lot of it was reciprocal, and there was no place for the men who were being abused, and the boys. So when she tried to
What do you mean reciprocal? Like both were engaging in abuse?
yeah, so they're doing it at each other. It's there's no real aggressor. It's just they are violent towards each other. You know, I don't know how it works. It's just it.
Do you know she was born
know.
in China?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
She basically she figured this out because she talked to them like, how did this happen? And then they talk about these things, and then she realised, oh, I've missed out an entire demographic that needs help. And she tried to set that up. The second waivers were not happy and shut it down. And she was, for a long time, a pariah. She was thrown under the bus by these people. I mean, there's pictures of her being, like, you know, protested by these really crazy protesters, which don't look at a place now.
To me,
you know,
I've just always, I don't know. I'm becoming increasingly more black-pilled on feminism. I used to be one of those normie types who were like, oh, the first and second waves were good.
They really, I'm the same. Oh, I'm not black pilled. I don't consider it a black pill. It's more of a red pill, in my opinion. But yeah, I know what you mean. I agree with you entirely. But
Because like Danny Duchamp made an excellent video.
yeah,
like,
he did. Yeah,
Oh God. If you haven't seen that video, look it
I've
up.
seen
I think
it.
it's called "Feminism was it ever good?"
I mean,
gotta get
you've
them
got to
on
remember
sometime.
though that there's a suffragists and the suffragettes, and the suffragists were the moderates who actually got things done, while the suffragettes were the ones who committed violence and bombed people and things like that. You know,
Best
I
thing
love how
about
this-
the stuff.
I love how the ones who get things done have the masculine term, and the ones who are extremist idiots get the feminine.
well
Yeah.
they call themselves that, I think.
Yeah.
And
They put the suffer in suffrage.
a lot of
Yeah,
people forget. A lot of people forget though that the White Feather campaign existed, but that split up the suffragettes because
Yeah.
Sylvia Pankhurst was against that. She was against the war. She didn't want it, and when she saw her mother and sister, I think it was, join in with the whole thing, being patriotic and, you know, shaming men to war, she was outraged and quit and started her own movement basically.
Who was this? Sylvia. Who?
Sylvia Pankhurst, I think it was Sylvia, yeah.
Yeah,
But the person who
her
has
leader.
the person who has the statue in Manchester is Emmeline. When I think it should be either Sylvia or the people of
Yeah.
Peterloo who died there for the vote.
Yeah, and if you were a
So-
really base suffragette, you wanted equality within the Klan.
Yeah.
The Ku Klux Klan.
Well, that's more of an American thing. I don't know what the English thought about that.
Yeah.
But yeah. I also
I don't think the English cared, honestly.
no, not really. We don't have the same history as you guys do when it comes to that. But oh, there was another thing that Amber Heard did, or something happened. Oh no, it was in my head. What happened? There was the things that leaked. Oh yes, of course. There was the change to our petition to get her sacked from Aquaman. I personally don't know if she should be cancelled or not. I think that should be up to the employers. I don't think we should be trying to force them to do anything. And like the way I see it is, they ignored her first domestic violence charge and conviction. You know, she you know, Johnny Depp was not the first. It was Tasia Van Ree, her wife, was it? Ex-wife, girlfriend, partner. Guys, you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to see. Jesus, why did she live in Ethiopia?
What, Sylvia?
Why not?
Pankhurst.
Why not? I guess maybe she was trying to convert people, even though they're already Christian. But like, if they're ignoring that, why would they ignore this? But then I heard a rumor that they were seriously thinking, Warner Brothers was thinking, yeah, we should get rid of her. But that's just a grain of salt. What do you think? Do you think she should be fired? Because Johnny Depp was, so is it only fair that she should be too
Well,
after all
yeah,
this?
obviously,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that it's gonna happen.
Personally, I think leave it up to Warner Brothers. I mean, my heart says sack her, but my brain thinks it's just cancelling, you know? Like, I would be no better than her, even though it's tit for tat, innit? But if people want to go sign a petition, I wouldn't stop them doing it. So anyway, I think we covered that topic pretty well. How much longer have we got left? We've got a few minutes
About
left.
15 minutes, I think.
So
we got more than a few.
apparently, Gin Jesus has given us some useful historical information. John Ashcroft ran for office, and the other guy died on the campaign trail and still won. His wife assumed office. I assume this is for not president, though. This is something else.
Oh, yeah. Wait. What was he talking about?
He's talking about some American politician. Somebody died on the trail, and his wife assumed office.
Oh, yeah. I think I know what he's talking about. There was a... Yeah. The John Ashcroft was running for Senate in Illinois or Missouri.
And then Makuta Pterodax says
he was running for Senate in Missouri, and he run his re-election bid, but then he died in a plane crash, I think.
Ouch.
And so his wife had to take over until they held a special election.
And then Makuta Pterodax says that PM became the official name of the post in 1905. Before then, it was officially First Lord of the Treasury. Of course. So we've got 2 more topics. The next one is impeachment. So, you guys can take that away. What a big nothing
I don't
burger.
care about it.
Literally, the Iowa caucus no longer matters, and impeachment is done and dusted. There's nothing else to really discuss for it.
So where do you think the Democrats went wrong in trying to impeach him?
Oh.
Like tactically?
By
Here's
impeaching
something that's
him.
interesting. I pulled out a massive scab in my nose on Friday.
No one cares, Al.
Well, I don't care about impeachment. I'd rather talk about my scab than that.
I don't. So.
So, like, what do you mean by him trying to impeach him in the first place, then?
It's my belief that Trump actually wanted that to happen because it would further energize his base for 2020 and would also shift some moderates over to his side when they realized that he didn't do anything impeachable. So he was trying to antagonize Pelosi.
What was that? Al,
Not
to say?
directly.
What did you say?
He didn't do a quid pro quo. Like, that's been proven that he didn't do a quid pro quo. And the entirety of the proceedings was done on the basis that he did a quid pro quo, so it was done on a lie.
Do you still think he should have been impeached for violating the emoluments clause, though?
I think that every U.S. president after Calvin Coolidge should have been impeached.
Dude, that's woke. Let me tell you.
Fuck executive overreach, man. I also think that Lincoln should have been impeached too because of it.
What was his overreach? Was that to do with the war? Or...
He suspended habeas corpus. In
yeah, he
Maryland.
did, didn't he? Yeah.
He suspended it nationwide, actually.
That happened in Britain.
Do you think he should have been impeached for blocking people in Maryland to go vote?
Yes.
Habeas corpus was also lifted in Britain after the Peter Lee massacre in Manchester. Because we were terrified of the British government was terrified of a revolution. It never happened, and the goal of the Peter Lee protesters was never about overthrowing the establishment. Anyway, it was about becoming part of it. Having representation because they pay taxes, and our system was terrible. Where Manchester, as a big city, that was powering the bloody Industrial Revolution, and a lot of the ideology behind it, had no representation. Yet some town that doesn't exist anymore, some village that nobody lives in, still had an MP that people voted for somehow. So it's the rotten boroughs.
Are you sure it wasn't a pocket borough or something?
It was called a rotten borough. Like, they would have places that people barely anybody.
I don't know. I watched that one opera by George Sullivan. What the fuck was it? They called it a pocket borough, but apparently
that might be an American.
No,
one.
it's Rottenborough.
It's rotten.
No. No, it was written by a British dude.
Oh, was it? I'll have to check that out. But it's the same principle, though. It's the same thing where these nothing boroughs that have representation, but big, massive cities, you don't have it at all.
They're called by both, but they're also known as nomination boroughs or proprietarial boroughs.
And it was part of a series of laws after that to stop revolution that were not needed. Up until recently, that was probably about as authoritarian as it got in this country, But with impeachment, I think I see what you're on to there, Chicago. It's basically the 4D chess meme, but He's
Yeah.
actually doing it.
But actually true, yeah.
And look at Pelosi when she rips up his speech. I mean, or at least what she's reading.
Pelosi, I'm Catholic, but I'm pro-choice.
So, does everybody have like a copy of the speech that they read from when he's talking, or did she just grab it and start?
She
Carrying
has. She
Actually, it was
around.
pre-ripped too, which is even funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah, she tried to before she like actually ripped it. She like ripped it a little bit to see if like she could actually rip it. She does it on camera. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, she just looks like
Also,
a spoiled brat.
Chicago, I have a question for you.
No.
Right, so if you're in Lincoln's shoes, right, and Maryland votes to secede, so DC is completely surrounded by rebel states. What the fuck would you do in that situation? Since that's what Lincoln was trying to prevent.
It just fucking sends troops.
But you're surrounded on 3 sides, right? If not 4.
Yeah.
So...
Or would you just like outright flee the capital?
I'd honestly just have all of the federal troops in Maryland just seize the towns and then bring Maryland back into the fold by force.
So
That's what Lincoln was doing.
But he was doing it by suspending habeas corpus.
Oh. No, wait. Yeah, he suspended
That's
it, but he like
that
but
is
he
a
sent-
very, very big stretch.
Well, because the thing is, like, he sent. I thought you were like mad because he sent like troops to the state capitol, preventing them from even voting on the issue.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you were taking issue with.
No, I'm taking issue with him suspending habeas corpus.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's fine. Habeas corpus is fuck. Which one is that again?
that's the one where you have
That's
the right to be brought
That's
to a
right
judge.
for free trial.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Right for fair trial.
That was Magna Carta.
My favorite part is that in Missouri we were pretty much put under a military dictatorship because a bunch of like German immigrants in St. Louis who were anti-slavery were pissed the fuck off. It was fucking hilarious. There was like a section of German immigrants from St. Louis who killed all the Irish people or like the Irish regiment
Why?
because they were pro-slavery.
Oh right. Well.
Yeah, because a lot of these German immigrants came after the 1848 revolutions,
Yeah,
so they
of
formed a
course,
brigade,
Yeah.
went around the state to like subdue any rebels, and then they went to Jefferson City and said, "Hey, if you," when they were about to vote for secession, they pointed guns at everybody in the assembly and said, "If you vote to secede, we will kill you."
I bet these were Irishmen. That
And they
hated the
voted to
British
stay
as
in the
well.
Union magically.
I bet these were like Fenians as well, so it'd be even more ironic.
Fenians.
Yeah, basically Irish Republicans.
Might have been.
Yeah, so they deserved it. Nah, I'm
Based.
joking. I'm joking. But
If you own a slave, you deserve to die. Don't at me.
see, I would have thought the Irish would be pro on the slave side because they would somewhat
A lot of them
identify.
were. No. Don't
yeah.
get me wrong. A lot of them were. George McClellan was of Irish descent. It's just that for whatever there was just an Irish Confederate brigade in St. Louis for whatever reason.
Probably mercenaries. I don't know.
There were 6 Confederate generals that were Irish born, and there were plenty of the Union that were Irish born.
Oh yeah,
it's just
and
there were plenty.
English and-
The Irish were very divided on it. Although French Canadians were mostly pro-union. The Polish were mostly pro-union. Most immigrants were pro-union.
And then you've got the English. Those of English descent would have been anti-slavery as well, for the most part.
Except for the ones that owned slaves in the South.
Well, yeah, the landed gentry in it, yeah, who were strangely still aristocratic and were talking to their cousins in England, well, way up until the 1860s, which is mad.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, they were still.
They were talking to second and third cousins in England and shit?
Yeah.
That's weird.
But you got to remember that the last veteran of the American War of Independence died in the 1860s, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you know that we still have Civil War grandkids?
Yes.
So it really wasn't that long before. You got to remember, America's a young country, and a lot of these families aren't particularly old either. So it makes complete sense. But I can't believe the Confederacy thought that Britain would side with the Confederates. We would never have.
I
done
mean,
that.
Lord Acton tries to get you to do that.
Yeah, but that was never going to be popular with the British people. I mean, my country literally forced itself into a cotton famine because we didn't want to buy cotton from America, even though that's where we got it from. And we sent a letter to Abraham Lincoln in support. So
Based.
yeah. So when which always irks me because people will say, British people back then were so bad, and it's like, well, my city wasn't. We sent a letter. We went through a cotton famine. People went unemployed. By cotton famine, I simply mean we didn't have enough cotton to make goods.
And then you found India.
Well, we already had India by then. We already had India, but most of the cotton was still American because it was probably, I don't know, whatever.
When did you finally start buying Egypt from India and cotton?
Probably
Wait, shit, I fucked up that
1880s.
sentence.
I don't know. It probably was as a result of the Civil War that we switched.
It
but,
was.
Yeah.
Eventually, the South tried to pressure the UK,
Mhm.
but the UK was like, "Oh wait, Egypt and India are kind of nice."
And we're the anti-slavery empire
Yeah.
par excellence. We can't be on the side of the slavers. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually...
And France was just gonna do, in regards to the South, was just gonna do whatever Britain did, and so they also bought cotton from Egypt.
Yeah, because we
and
had
India.
we had like a kind of alliance at that time. But like, it's just I've never got that. I never thought for a second that the government would ever seriously considered it, because the British people would have voted them out the moment that happened, and it just wouldn't look right where the Royal Navy is going around the world, you know, freeing slaves and killing slavers and ruining that trade for everybody, but then would join the South. I mean, the only reason they would do it was to maybe for political reasons, so like to weaken America. To potentially, I remember there was like a plan, like a proposed plan to eventually get it back. I think I remember reading something on that, but that was never realistic. We were never going to.
There was also a German diplomat. I can't remember his name, who was friends with Bismarck. Who pretty much pressured Europe to not join the side of the Confederacy.
Yeah, I'm glad he did.
I forget his name. Do you know who I'm talking about, though?
I don't know who you're talking about, but it wouldn't surprise me if somebody did.
Yeah.
Was it one of... I don't know the diplomats, you see. I only know about Bismarck and people like that. Oh, British Knight as a £2 super chat. New World 2 Sino-Indian Boogaloo. Honestly, at this rate, India will become the world superpower.
I don't mind it,
won't.
though.
I think it will. I mean, if they continue, you know, going down.
They don't even have the power to project their military strength outside of their quadrants of the Indian Ocean.
Well, at least not yet.
They're not going to be a superpower.
At least not yet, anyway. I mean, we don't know, do we, really? But
They're not going to be one anytime soon.
Well,
at this
obviously,
rate.
you know. I mean, it takes centuries to become one, you know. But when we're dead, they probably
America
will.
did in like 100 years. Dig, what the fuck you talking about?
Like I said, centuries. but like, I actually think they're far preferable to the Chinese. I'd much rather have India looking after me than. Plus, they're part of the Commonwealth, so you can't. I mean, no, Pakistan is too, but India's there. They're part of the gang. It's all right.
Pakistan, more like Crapistan.
See, that would be fine if they weren't so authoritarian. You know, and weren't.
They weren't a literal Islamic republic.
Yeah. Originally, it was the guy who founded Pakistan wanted it to be like a secular republic.
Like Turkey.
He wanted to add a Turkey.
Jinnah was a fucking Chad.
Yeah.
I'd tell you he was
like the
pretty
first
good,
prime
maybe.
minister of the country was Hindu.
Was he?
Yeah, and then he fled the country because then he said like, "Oh, you can't be anything other than a Muslim in this country."
Well,
when
that's
the
why
Islamists started.
that's what the split was all about. That was what the partition. Like, did he not get the memo?
Well, no. At first, that's where the direction Pakistan was going, but then they became Islamists. So he fled to India.
Commonwealth gang. That's going to be a real thing now. Well, you know, proper like gang. So once again, so I can't wait for that.
Gang, more like yang gang.
Yang gang.
No.
Kang gang. Kong gang. Commonwealth. Com gang. That sounds like communism. That sounds like communism, though. I suppose a
Common gang.
Common gang.
Also, Tulsi Gabbard.
Quoman gang.
Rumors are going about that Tulsi Gabbard is drafting a bill to introduce UBI to Congress.
Oh God. That's
great.
That's never gonna work. But we've already discussed that, haven't we, so many times?
UBI doesn't work. Negative income tax might work.
Yeah, that could work. That makes more sense.
UBI is just in a check for existing, and I think that's stupid.
So, you know, like when weed was legalized in Colorado, right? And it made them so much money, they could pay people, right? Am I right? That's what happened.
Yeah, they better funded their education system.
Why can't we do more of that thing?
Well,
That-
yeah, that's what most all Democratic candidates except for what's his
but
face
that's not
died.
even UBI. That's like having such a surplus that you could pay people
well,
back.
for me, I'd rather have UBI than welfare. Honestly, I'd just get rid of
Well,
welfare.
it wasn't even welfare. Actually, you know what? UBI without welfare could feasibly maybe.
Well,
kind
Andrew
of
Yang's
work.
proposal is that you either, if you qualify for welfare, you either get UBI or welfare. You do not get both. And so a lot of like Bernie bros are like, "Oh my God, you want to take away benefits for people?" It's
Well,
like, well,
you
no,
can't have
you
both.
no, you fucking retard. You get one or the other. You don't get to eat your cake and have it too. You little cunt.
Indeed.
Can we
But-
go and lace their cake with cyanide, please?
Yes.
Then they can eat their cake.
The only good
Alessio, I'm
communist
not
is
saying
that-
give more money to the state. I was just talking about Colorado, how they had so much money through making money through the weed industry or whatever it was. Is it an industry? I guess it is. So it's more hemp industry.
Yes.
That they could pay back their own citizens money, basically.
Legalizing weed will save the environment. Change my mind. Will
Well,
stop climate change.
Well, I don't think it'll stop climate change, but
Yes.
hemp is
Here's-
already
here's the-
legal.
Well, not in all places.
Well, yeah, but you can buy like hemp-made products here, just not weed.
Yeah, but like, if you just the main way you want to preserve the trees and whatnot is just push hemp because it's a way better alternative to wood because it makes stronger. It's better
Well, you
for
can't
paper.
make
it's
you can't
better
make a
as wood.
table with it though.
Yeah, you can.
You can't make a table with hemp, can you?
Yeah, you can.
No way. I don't believe that.
Dude, I'm not even joking. You can.
Well, I'll have to look that up. But
Fairly sure you can.
we've got one more. I'll take your word for it. I will trust you on that. But we've got one more topic, and this is a British one. I'll keep it brief because we've not got long. And that is he did actually used to work for the BBC. I looked this up before we got on air, but it's not all the time. A lot of presenters do go back and forth between public and private all the time. But this is current. Oh God, what does he do? Is it Good Morning Britain? Philip. This is
Piers
Philip.
Morgan?
No, Philip Schofield. Yeah, he does that, doesn't he? But I assume they have different people for different times.
Yeah.
But he's a well-known TV presenter in New Zealand, funnily enough, because he lived there and has co-British and Kiwi citizenship. And he's done so many different TV programs. I can't even list them all. And he's recently, for some bizarre reason that nobody really knows, but there are rumours, and I will say this: they are rumours. They are something not to be believed until there's actual evidence that this has happened and everybody's admitted this. But basically, he came out as gay, and it was a big, massive thing, and there was this outpouring of stunning and brave and blah 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 blah. And basically, what happened was this: he was married to this lady for 27 years, and he even had 2 daughters with her. And for something, I mean, there was rumours about him for years, but nobody really cared. It's just like, yeah, whatever, you know. I think a lot of people didn't really know he was married, funnily enough. Like, I didn't know he was married. I didn't really care.
I didn't even know he existed.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
little I care.
Me
Exactly.
Because we're Yanks.
And I'm just here thinking, why is this news? Why do we care? Why? So
Breaking news: yet another fruit comes out as gay.
Part of my brain was thinking, how did he get into this situation in the first place in a era of the late 20th century where gay people were mostly accepted? No, there wasn't really much pressure to get him to marry or anything. I mean, I don't think civil partnerships were a thing, but you could still, you know.
Did he come from like a religious background?
No, didn't say. I looked him up. It didn't say anything like that. Just that he grew up in the north. Well, no, he was born in the north, raised in the south, and then moved to New Zealand as a teenager. So he's pretty much always lived in the Western world.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where that came from. All I can say is, okay, continue on your job as a TV host for Boomers. But I don't think it was a particularly brave thing to do. I don't think coming out in this day and age, is something that even needs to be done. Like, it should just be, I like whoever, unless it's kids, obviously. That should be, you know, shunned and, you know, shamed and what have you. but he doesn't like. He obviously he likes adults, but
Yeah.
it should just be taken that. Okay, I fancy this guy. What do I do? Talk to him. I fancy this girl.
Yeah.
What do I do? Talk to her. Whatever. Right. That's what it should be treated as. But it's treated as a stunning and brave thing, and it's like, well, technically he kind of ruined this woman's life, even though she's she even said in like this interview that she was shattered by it, and it's like, I mean, a lot of people.
I mean, obviously you would be.
You would be, yeah, and I know some people have recognised this, but a lot of the more lefty types don't realise that this is a very long 27-year marriage.
My thing
this is my entire lifespan almost.
My main question about people who get into situations like this: how do you muster up the courage to fuck your partner?
I know. They seem to have a really happy relationship.
Yeah, cause it's I like, not to be prudish, right? But just
enough to have kids that he loves dearly. Like he still loves his kids.
Does his wife look like a man? I don't know.
I don't know what. No, she doesn't actually. She just looks.
I heard a story like that.
No, I don't think she does.
I heard no, not this guy, but like some other girl who was like, oh, I was married to my ex-husband for 7 years, but then he came out as gay and told me he was only able to fuck me because I look like a man.
Maybe he never knew. Maybe he discovered it slowly over time, which is fair enough. I mean, that can happen.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe
He's sexually fluid.
Yeah, maybe. I assume that. He seemed to be okay with having kids with her, so I don't know. But
my theory is that he probably was lying to himself for whatever reason.
Well, maybe, yeah. Who knows? But then there was rumours, and only one site is reporting this, plus some random BitChute guy. It's called Political Light, and it's like it's just like an attempt to do The Sun, but in an independent way. So take it with a massive grain of salt. I think it was. There's rumours, and they were reported on years ago. But he had an affair with some runner in ITV. He was a lad, obviously, and that happened apparently, and then that meant that guy had to be moved to another department or whatever, some new show. But it's like, if that is the reason, that is the reason. But I don't know. Maybe that explains it. Maybe it doesn't. But
yeah,
we'll find out. The truth always comes out. So I just don't think it's a story that needs to be reported on. I don't think he. I mean, maybe because being a public figure, it was always going to come out. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But
he just wanted to come out on his own terms.
I feel like I don't think it's. I'm not trying to be conspiratorial or anything, but I just think it's distracting people, and it's not. It's probably not even his intention to anyway. But it's just distracting us from real issues. We should just be like, okay, whatever. Really, like what was really brave, I think, was Rob Halford coming out. Even though in hindsight, he never had much of an issue. But Judas Priest singer, right? He's gay, right?
Who's she?
Rob Halford. He came out as gay in the 90s. And that was a brave thing, because, metal has this reputation for being really macho, and a lot of the fans being macho, but they're not really. They're just lads, most of them anyway. But he was accepted. But he didn't know that until he made the leap into the unknown by coming out, and people were like, okay, good, when's Judas Priest reuniting? That's brave, when we really genuinely do not know how it's going to be taken. I mean, all his mates knew, and technically probably most of the fans knew as well, but nobody mentioned it until, or just they chose not to because it's not nobody's business. That's the thing. Sexuality, unless it's breaking the law, is nobody's business, in my opinion. So I don't know. Maybe that's me just being too libertarian on these things.
Being a liberal.
Yeah, being a classical liberal. British Knights asking me if I've been watching his videos. Of course I watch your videos. I have one on my tab just now. But anyway.
I need to watch your video, British Knight. I'll do that after this, I guess. I don't know.
Laughs in Falklands. I think that's a reference to the sun, I think, is it? Gotcha. But anyway, we've been going for quite a while now, I think. And this is a short podcast, as everybody knows. So, Chicago.
Just like you, Mitch, it's short.
Fuck you. I'm not that short. Come on.
You're 5'8". You're short.
I
you're
know I'm
midget.
smaller than both of you, but Chicago's only 2 inches taller than me. Or 3. 3, is it?
2.
2. There we are. And you're like, what, 4?
At the dinner, yeah, I'm 6'2". At the dinner
I'm
table,
above-
do you have to sit on a book?
No, but I'm above your shoulder. I know that. But anyway, Chicago, last words.
God save the Queen and God save Great Britain for Brexit.
Thank you very much. I will
You're
take that in
welcome.
my heart. Thank you. And how about you, Alkazai?
I fucking hate Piers Morgan.
Yeah, we hate him too.
We mentioned him earlier. I just wanted to get that out of my system.
Yeah, I don't get why he's become popular. Like he's an asshole. Like I mean, he's like a broken clock. It's right twice a day, basically. So, as
I
for the rest,
remember when I made fun of him on Twitter during the World Cup.
oh yeah, he's a massive Arsenal fan, and like any typical Arsenal. No offense, but like any typical British Arsenal fan, shall I say? Because the American ones don't.
Yeah,
tend
I
to
was
be
about
this
to
way,
say, I'm an Arsenal fan, Mitch.
Yeah, but you're not like the British ones who are a bit more crazier, shall I say? They're a bit more entitled. Americans are pretty chill, for the most part, when it comes to football.
Yeah, not when it comes to American football.
Oh, obviously, yeah, but he spurgs out. It's beautiful. So anyway, as for the rest of you, good night and farewell.
Get out.